Robots Radio presents.
You're listening to the Dungeons & Dragons Lorecast, the best way for everyone from experienced dungeon masters to those curious about D&D to learn more about the worlds, creatures, and lore of Dungeons & Dragons.
Stuart, I didn't tell you about this earlier today. You were playing Baldur's Gate 1, getting ready for this episode, and I took a little trip down to the dungeon and knocked on Megodius's door and asked him if he knew anything about Baldur's Gate, and he said, ho ho ho, in his big dragon voice, "That's one of my favorite video games." So, since when do dragons play video games? I think
I'm not convinced he's a dragon.
Yeah, I think this is more evidence for us.
I mean, I guess they do have a lot of time on their hands, but I'm just not convinced anymore. I think this is something we're going to have to investigate over the next few weeks.
Yeah, how do you use a keyboard with big dragon claw hands? Like a mouse, and you can't do that. That doesn't work. I mean, I guess they could magic their way through the keyboard. How does it even work?
You could use. I mean, he might know mage hand, which is a magical hand that does stuff. He might be able to cast it twice and play from a distance.
he might just sit back while his mage hand's playing the game for him.
That would be so good.
Okay, well, I mean, again, maybe not. Maybe dragon, maybe not a dragon. Welcome back to the Dungeons & Dragons Lorecast. I'm your host, Tom, or Robots, with Stuart, my perpetual partner in this tower of unending books and mysteries, as you can see. We still haven't figured out if Megodius, our buddy down in the basement, is a dragon or not. We think he probably isn't, but we can't tell yet because we can't open the door. So, this week, we are super excited because Baldur's Gate 3 is on the horizon. We can almost touch it. It was getting very close. They announced today that it's actually the early release version of the game, which is just like the first section of the game, was supposed to come out a week from this recording today, which is the 23rd. And they pushed it back an extra week. So it's now October 6th because they wanted to make sure that it was going to be free of bugs and all sorts of issues that they still need to double check, and they need a little bit more time for that, which is I'm totally okay with. I would rather have a much more polished version of it to try out than something that just crashes on us when we try to play it, right? So yeah. So that's what's coming up, but that's awesome because it gives us time to talk about Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2 to get you guys and us also up to speed on the events of the first two games to be ready for the third in the series. So Stuart and I are here, as usual, live. It's Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/robotsradio. Getting ready to talk about Baldur's Gate 1. Stuart, I am ready. My ear holes are ready.
You're ready?
My eyeballs are ready. Holes and balls. All of them are ready.
Alrighty. So this is... we're going to talk about the story of Baldur's Gate 1. And we're going to do, because we want to talk about a story, we want to have a character, because characters make a good story.
Yeah.
In the game, when you play the game, you make your own character, and you can give them any name, and they can have any class or anything you like.
Are we going to design our own character right now?
No, sorry.
Okay. I got excited for a second. Go. What's your plan?
I did when I was playing this morning, which I literally was doing this morning. I did make my own character, which was a sorcerer, and I played for about an hour or so. And I'm playing the enhanced edition, and I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm going to go back to that this evening and play some more.
Nice.
Anyway, but as far as lore goes, the way the story runs, they actually connect it to a character within the lore called Abdel Adrian, which we've talked about briefly before. And some of this stuff we have mentioned before, so I won't go into detail with some of that stuff. What we will do is I'll say when we've done an episode on this already, we'll put the links in the show notes.
Yeah, you can reference back to that. So,
yeah, for sure.
If we bring up,
obviously.
ahead.
of a recap, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to dive into it. So Abdel Adrian, he has a classic adventurer backstory, and he's an orphan, and he has been raised by a person called Gorian in Candlekeep. Now, we did an episode on Candlekeep. We had Justice Aman and Anthony. I've forgotten Anthony's name. Sorry, Thrawn.
Oh no.
Sorry, Anthony. And Anthony, who did a DM's Guild product on Candlekeep, so you can dive into that. But essentially, it's this huge castle. Anthony Joyce, there you are. Sorry, Anthony.
There you go.
It's this huge castle. It's a library. It's a place where wizards go to study wizardry. Okay,
as they do.
And people live there. Yeah, people live there, and that's where the adventure starts with Abdul and Gorian living in Candlekeep. He's
I have
lived a pretty sheltered life.
Picture of Abdul up on the screen for anybody who's interested.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And also, Twitter will have these images for you, for our listeners on the podcast. So Abdul lived a pretty sheltered life as a foster child of Gorian within the library fortress of Candlekeep. He grew up alongside the light-hearted Imowen, who is a very close friend of them, and together they grew up, they learned about magic, they learned about life there. But in DR 1368, now for reference, it's about 100 years before the Baldur's Gate 3, okay? And it's about, what's one of the events we could talk about? Okay, so the Time of Troubles, which we've talked about, it's about 10, 15 years after that, okay?
So pretty soon after that, like not even a generation has gone by. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so Gorian gets word that the life of his foster son was in mortal danger. And because of this, he sends word to his old contacts among the Harpers. The Harpers are an organization of adventurers, kind of a secret organization, but they're trying to do good. They're a good aligned organization that try to thwart evil wherever they go. And these contacts include Elminster, who is the title in the DM's product we talked about, DM's Guild product we talked about, and his two good friends, whose names I've just lost.
Goofy and Donald.
No. Khalid and Jahira. Okay. However, when they leave, they are ambushed. There's this huge guy all dressed in armor, and he's got these bandits with him, and they are ambushed on their way out of Candlekeep whilst they're in the forest. Gorian says to Abdul, he's like, you have to get out of here, you have to run, and you have to survive. You need to get yourself to the Friendly Arm Inn. And he stays and he fights this guy, however is killed in the process, allowing Abdul to escape. Abdul obviously is upset about this. He's distraught. He spends the night alone in the forest, and it is in the morning he's greeted by his friend Imowen. Now, Imowen had wanted to come along on their adventure, not knowing exactly what was going on. However, she, Imowen, snuck into Gorian's chamber, read a private note, and decided that she was going to come with. Okay, and so she sneaks out of Candlekeep and finds Abdul, and then the two of them, united, make their way to the Friendly Arm Inn. Here, they learn about something that's happening in the world. It's called the Iron Crisis. So iron's really important in this world. They need it for weapons, armor. They need it for all sorts of stuff. And
parts, trash cans.
What's that?
Cooking.
Trash cans. All sorts of stuff you'd use iron for.
Trying to think of other things that are made with iron.
So with an iron shortage, and which is what's happening, imagine a major resource for us that would be missing, gas or oil. It has a severe impact on everyone's life. Okay, and he learns that it's connected to bandit raids and kobolds invading the mines. And one of the first things that happens in the game is that someone comes up to Abdul and says, oh, you're Gorian's foster child, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, you fit the description, and attacks you. This is like one of the second encounters you get in the whole game. And then you've been ambushed in the forest as well. And they're like, okay, so there's bandits raiding and impacting this iron crisis, attacking mines, and then I'm getting attacked by bandits. And he sort of makes this tenuous connection that maybe these two things are connected. It was, Gorian has been like, we have to leave right now, so he's sort of confused about this. And so the rumors have it that the Zentarim are behind this. Now, the Zentarim are another organization, but they're more like a criminal organization. They are involved in evil deeds. They have a huge tower called Darkhold, which is also actually Anthony and Justice released another DM's Guild product called Secrets of Darkhold, which you can check out.
It's almost like they are fans of the Baldur's Gate games.
And I think they really like D&D, those two.
Maybe. I was thinking about it. Like, if you have an evil organization, do you think you have like a charter, or like a when you form an organization, you have like a paragraph that says like what the organization is about. You know what that's called? Mm-hmm. You think it says things like don't do bad things, don't only do bad things, don't do good things, evil. Like, what is? I don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah,
like, I guess you see old ladies trying to cross the street, don't help them. Like, push them over instead, steal their purses.
I haven't had a chance to dive into Secrets of Darkhold yet, but knowing those guys, they would have done stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what's happened. So these are the rumors. So Abdul heads south to investigate, and it's sort of there's starting to be conflict between the Lord's Alliance cities, and then this other part of the continent called AMN. And so there's this conflict going between them because of the iron. So the trade goes between them, and tensions are rising. So he heads south to see what he can find out. And after fighting with kobolds, which are small sort of dragon-like creatures that usually live in the ground, who have infested mines and infiltrating
candles on their heads.
Yeah, well, the WoW ones do.
They all have candles on their heads. That's my favorite thing about WoW kobolds, is that they all have candles on their heads, and they're like, my candle. Anytime someone says kobold, even when it's Dungeons and Dragons, my mind is now warped by.
I know. When I first started playing D&D, I had played WoW, but I hadn't played D&D really. I was like, oh, kobolds. And I'm like, oh, they're not furry, and they don't really look like dogs, and they don't even have candles on their heads. I'm like, this is not a kobold.
This is different. Yeah.
This is different. So he fights a bunch of kobolds, discovers like some bandit counts. There's two sort of mercenary groups there, one of which is like a goblin mercenary group, which is awesome, called The Chill. And they're led by an undead, I'm pretty sure, undead hobgoblin, which is awesome.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And Abdul learns from them that
how to be chill.
And he's like, they're all just like, chill, dude. Don't worry about it.
What are you worried about, dude?
Don't worry about it, dude.
Chill out.
It's totally chilled.
It's totally chill. This guy's undead, but we don't care.
Dude. They learn that it's not, in fact, the Zentarim. It's not, in fact, the Zentarim. It is an organization called the Iron Throne. So this sparks a bit of interest because people know about the Iron Throne. They're a mercantile organization that operated in the East Heartlands, which is a section in Faerun. Though it controlled much of the weapons trade across the realms during its time, its leaders and hierarchy remained unknown to the outside ranks. And while it was a criminal organization in every sense of the word, the Iron Throne thrived in part because of the facade it projected
okay.
To the rest of Faerun. It was an honorable business that served the best interests of the realm. So they had this
Yeah.
They put on their nice business face.
And their socks,
to most
probably.
of
Also, their socks.
and their business socks. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't leave those at home.
Tiny dogs on them, probably, or pineapples.
Pineapples. Surfboard.
And they're able to prosper throughout most of the world because they're doing good business, quote unquote. So of course, Abdel Adrian, being the hero that he is, and concerned for his own life, and concerned now because of his foster father's passing, decides it's time to find out what's going on, and so they head to Baldur's Gate. However, on arrival, Abdul is accused of all these crimes. There's all these crimes that he's apparently committed. Now, in the game,
like pushing over old women trying to cross the street.
Yeah, exactly. In the game, if you're playing an evil character, you have actually committed those crimes. So,
that's great.
Yeah, it's cool. It's one of those. I was kind of wondering how that works. Yeah. And I think maybe you deny it. I doubt. I haven't got to there in the game. Or if you're playing a good character, you have not committed those crimes, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, they did not do this.
If you're chaotic evil, you're like, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Just like, come at me, bro.
Whatever, man. That's what I'm about.
That's my thing. Yeah. Pushing old ladies over.
So he spent some time there. Now, by this time they gathered more adventurers to the party, because in the game you can have a party of adventurers. It is a team-based tactical combat sort of game.
Yeah, and who doesn't love a party? Right.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a party.
So they do some investigation trying to find out what's going on, and there is the Iron Throne's headquarters are in Baldur's Gate. Because remember, we did do an episode on Baldur's Gate, and Baldur's Gate is kind of shifty. All right? We've got to remember that there is a strong underworld current that runs through Baldur's Gate.
Right, and it's more than just a gate. It's an entire town.
It's a whole town. Yeah, it's named after one gate, but it is now a fully enclosed.
Right. So don't get confused that there's almost three games about a single gate. It's more than that. It's bigger.
Yeah,
it's not just about
a whole city.
Yeah. It's not like Baldur's Gate 1. Baldur's Gate 1.
It is definitely a gate.
Open the gate.
But there's also a city.
Close the gate. Game over. It's more than that. It's way more than that.
I'm glad you're all tuning in for this, guys. So they start doing some investigations into what these crimes are, and then they also head over to the Iron Gate's headquarters. They infiltrate, they sneak in, and they learn that proof of the organization involved with this iron crisis, and was taken by one of the regional leaders when the rest of the leadership headed to Candlekeep for an important meeting. So the leaders of the Iron Gate have headed to Candlekeep and taken information about the iron crisis with them. However, at this point, Abdul's quite sure that the Iron Throne is behind this. Okay. So they go to someone called Duke Elton. Now, Duke Elton is the leader of the Flaming Fist, a mercenary company that acts as the sort of police force, town guard of Baldur's Gate.
And also a really awesome piano player and band leader.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Wait, that's Ellington. Crap. Sorry.
Damn. That's also not Elton John. So
no, that's different. Yeah, that would be.
It's a different person.
Yeah.
However, so Duke Elton's concerned about this, and he knows that these people are not going to be able to get into Candlekeep, because remember, to get into Candlekeep, you have to pay a price. You have to pay an entrance fee. Abdul, after Gorian had passed away, was not able to get back into Candlekeep because he didn't have anything of value, because Candlekeep is run by a group of monks that protect it, and whoever comes in needs to pay to get in. So they didn't have anything of value, and it's not necessarily a monetary figure. It's usually something of great importance to a wizard or a scholar that can be put into the library. So Duke Elton, being concerned about this, gives them a rare and valuable book and says, look, this can get you in and will allow you access to there. And I want you to go and spy on this meeting. So they do. They head to Candlekeep. They use the book to get in. And during their investigations in the Citadel's library, Abdul discovers a prophecy written by the ancient seer Alondo, and it foretells of the offspring created during the time of troubles by the dead god of Baal, the lord of murder, who will sow chaos until one remains to become the new lord of murder. Now, we did an episode on the Dead Three.
The Highlander.
We did an episode of the Highlander,
yes.
And the One, that great Jet Li film.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the Dead Three were the three gods of murder, death, and darkness, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I forgot now. Baal, Bane, and Merkel.
Yeah, Sweet Roll. It was either that or Sweet Rolls. One or the other.
And Baal, so Baal has made these Baal spawn. He'd been off busily creating a progeny that would, at some point, come back and bring him back to life. Mm-hmm. Abdul then, while searching through Gorian's room, finds a letter that explains that he is, in fact, one of the Baal spawn. And he now is directly linked, and all these things start to fall into place. He's like, hang on a second, I've been getting attacked. There's this Baal spawn that are supposedly will eventually try and bring back the Lord of Murder.
Yeah, evil one.
Evil. However, they get captured, and they are imprisoned in the Ward's party is imprisoned for the murders of the Iron Throne leaders. So the Iron Throne leaders have been murdered, and these are some of the things that Abdul has been accused of, regardless of whether they did it or not. And granted, they may have done this. So
right.
If you're playing an evil character, you actually may have been the one that killed them. But if you're playing a good character, you were not. And it is while they're due to be transported to Baldur's Gate and then executed. And while they're there, a prominent keeper in Candlekeep called Tetheril visits the party and reveals a suspicious character the party met earlier, as Coverus is really the foster son of the now dead Iron Throne leaders.
Dun dun dun. And he was like, "What are you doing here?" And then the other guy was like,
what are you doing here?
Stuart?
That's a reference I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't get all my references, but you got that one.
Yeah. So I had students a few years ago that started doing that. They're like, "What are you doing here,
What
Stuart?
Are you doing here, Stuart? Stuart."
So this person, his name is Saravok. Okay. And the connections come that this is the large human in the armor that kills Gorian.
Oh, no.
And he also wants to kill the Ward because the Ward is a Baal spawn.
So wait, so he's doing good then? Maybe.
Is he?
I mean, if the Baal spawn bring back evil murder guy, then unless they have to be killed in order to bring him back.
Maybe. Let's see.
I don't know.
Let's see.
Let's find out.
So, believing that Abdul is innocent, Tetheril transports the party into the catacombs beneath Candlekeep, where the party battles their way through a huge, through these doppelgangers that are taking the form of people that Abdul used to know. And so this takes the time, and they eventually burst through, and they escape and return to Baldur's Gate. The party find themselves accused of causing the Iron Crisis on the orders of the Kingdom of Arm, assassinating one of the city's Grand Dukes, and poisoning Duke Elton. 3 things that they may or may not have done, depending on the way you play the game. Uh-huh. Forced to stay hidden from the Flaming Fists, they then go on this investigation. They discover the Iron Throne orchestrated the Iron Crisis to gain control of Iron through their mines and using doppelgangers to weaken other merchant outfits, ensuring they would have a monopoly on iron. The tensions rising between Baldur's Gate and Arms, the organisation hoped to sell the stockpiled iron to the city at exorbitant prices. Afterwards, they aimed to de-escalate tensions between Baldur's Gate and Arm. However, during these investigations, they discover that Sarevok is also a ballspawn.
Dun, dun, dun.
And whilst he is orchestrating the Iron Crisis and the tension between the two, and whilst they had the Iron Throne's idea was that we would just make money out of this, Sarevok wanted to create combat. So he is the one that has killed off the leaders of the Iron Throne, and it now wants them to go to war. He believed that the resulting carnage would be enough to allow him to become the new Lord of Murder.
So,
due
murdering to become
similar,
the Lord of Murder.
Well, yeah. So it's through large amounts of death that the gods of murder can come through.
Yeah, I mean, you murder a lot of people, you kind of just get the title eventually. People are just like, wow, you're kind of like a god of murder. You are the god of murder. And then he's like, yeah, I guess I am. It's kind of how. So
Sarevok had organized all the assassins. He'd been the one behind all the assassinations on Abdul. And he had remained loyal to his father, who was part of the Iron Throne, until the meeting at Candlekeep, which kind of impacted his plans. So he killed his father, blames it on Abdul, takes control of the throne, and he is also responsible for the poisoning of Duke Elton and the assassination of one of the 4 Grand Dukes of Baldur's Gate, which you can learn about in our Baldur's Gate episode. So Abdul and his party gain entry into the Ducal Palace in their attempt to upset the coronation of Sarevok as the Grand Duke of Baldur's Gate and present evidence of his schemes. Exposed, Sarevok flees into the ancient underground beneath Baldur's Gate with the ward and the party following after him. The ward confronts Sarevok within an ancient temple of Baal and defeats him, saving the Sword Coast. This is like the grand battle. So this temple underneath is this ancient temple to Baal that had been there for time forgotten.
Yeah.
And Sarevok had discovered it on his whilst learning about Baal spawn, after he had learned that he was a Baal spawn.
He also liked spelunking, I believe. He just kind of liked to explore caves. It's kind of a hobby.
Yeah.
Kind of relaxing. Everybody needs a hobby. So
in the final scene, Sarevok's tainted soul departs his body and travels deep underground to a large circular chamber of alcoves and destroys a statue of himself contained in one of the alcoves. Whereupon it is revealed that the other alcoves contain a statue of a Baal spawn that exists in Faerun. So there is still Baal spawn alive, and not just Abdul. So that concludes this story.
And that's why there's
Baldur's Gate 1.
A second Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Because there's other Baal spawn.
Yeah, and I will have to wait until next week, I guess, to find out what clues link to Baldur's Gate 3. And from what I understand, there will be a lot of callback to these 2 games. So most likely in characters, whilst the human characters probably won't be alive because it's 100 years later, Elven and Dwarven characters might be. And also, we don't know what Baldur's Gate looks like now, so this is really exciting. In none of the RPG books has Baldur's Gate really been explored. In Descent into Avernus, there is a Baldur's Gate section, but it's not a city campaign like the Waterdeep books. It is just a sort of starting location. So I'm pretty excited about
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3.
And in the preview, there's still goblins. I saw some.
Yay!
Everybody loves goblins. I don't know.
Everybody does love goblins.
Everybody loves goblins. That's going to connect to my my special thing later in the show. Plus all the other goblin and hobgoblin and episodes that we did recently. But yeah, I'm super excited too. Awesome. Well, good stuff. Very interesting plot so far. I hope that was informative to you guys and will help get you up to speed. Definitely tune in for next week. We might be having to record next week's early and release it rather than do a live episode because Stuart's got some stuff coming up, so we might end up doing it this weekend. But maybe we'll let you guys know if we decide to record it live this weekend or something like that. We'll figure something out. So yeah, we'll let you guys know. You get ready to jump into the middle of the episode?
Let's get middly.
Let's do it. All right, we are here in the middle of the episode, and this is the place that we go when we need to thank our patrons, like Pirate Peter, who happens to be in the live chat right now, celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday, Pirate Peter. Thank you for hanging out with us. Bud. Have a good birthday. Enjoy it. Also, we have some news. We have another new patron, Remington C., who has joined us just this last week. In fact, just yesterday. Just yesterday. Thank you for joining us, Remington. I hope you enjoy the rewards that you can get on Patreon. If you are interested in helping to support the show, help to keep this going, and to, just kind of send us a little financial backing to say, hey, I like what you guys are doing, keep it up. The Patreon's the way to do that. Plus, you get lots of cool free stuff. Well, not free stuff. You pay for it, but then you get it. And then so it's a lot of stuff you get, I guess. Is that how it works? That's how it works. Including our highest tier patrons are able to join us monthly for our own game of Dungeons and Dragons. And Stuart will be leading that. And it was going to be freaking awesome. So check that out. Patreon.com/DND Lorecast for more information about that. Also, we are supported by the companies that support all of the Robots radio shows, including audiobooks.com, which is our newest one. And you can, for free, this one is actually free, for free, all you have to do is click the link in the show notes. So just look at the little extra information about the show. You'll see the show notes. I had somebody recently say, hey, I can't see it on Spotify. I don't know if that's a thing, but if you're looking for a link and you can't find it, just shoot us a note. We'll send you the link. Send it to you. I want you to get free stuff. Go get free stuff. It helps support us and it gives you free stuff. So everybody wins. Audiobooks.com. There's a link. You can get 3 free books, including 2 VIP books, which includes all sorts of stuff. Every time I've looked up a book on that site, they have it. So go check it out. I'm sure there is a book that you would like to read. Stuart, do you have any recommendations? You brought up some last time.
I said last week the June book is also one of my favorites, and there is a new film coming out at the end of the year. So definitely check that out. There are a bunch of Forgotten Realms books on there as well, which I would definitely suggest checking out as well. Their science fiction section is pretty awesome. That's what I read most of, science fiction and fantasy. So definitely check that out. There's all sorts of stuff. I need to dive into it actually, because I am going to be teaching a new subject soon. And I need to get into some historical reading. And I usually like to do that with an audiobook first. Yeah. Because it sort of preps my mind for learning new stuff. Yeah, totally. They have a whole heap of stuff on there.
Yeah, go look it up. Even if you're not sure, just click the link, go to the site, browse around, see if there's any books that you're interested in. It's an awesome way to, if you like listening to podcasts and you commute or you work and you can listen while you work or drive, it's a wonderful way to pass the time. I've listened through all of the Game of Thrones books, the Song of Ice and Fire. They have those, by the way. So just click the link, go check it out. There might be something you like. You can sign up for free. You don't have to pay anything, and if you only want that first month worth of books, you can just get those and then you can be done. So yeah, easy peasy.
There's Brian Sanderson books on there as well. If you are a fantasy reader, Brian Sanderson, great fantasy author. So there's all sorts of cool stuff on there.
Yeah. So go check it out. Lots of cool stuff. And let's move on. Oh, there's also other sponsors as well. While you're in there looking at the show notes, look at the other ones. You'll notice the other deals. There might be other stuff you're interested in as well. All right. Let's move on to the end of the show. That scream is always the best. So
That's the best.
I'm changing it up this week. I'm changing it up.
Yes.
I'm not doing an item. This is not an item. I have been inspired by the goblins and the creatures that we've been talking about and other video games. Stuart, I know you've played Diablo.
Yeah.
You're a big Diablo fan. I play Diablo.
I played it. I just recently reinstalled Diablo 3 and have been, that is my go-to mindless gaming game.
Yeah, it's great. You just click on things, they die. You run around, click on more things, they die. It's awesome.
I've got it on PS3. It is the best PC to console port I've ever played.
Yeah, I've been very tempted to buy it for a console just so my son and I can play it. But he plays on my wife's account, so we just play PC to PC. But yeah, awesome game. There is a critter in there called a treasure goblin who, when you come up on him, he's got a big sack and he goes, and he runs away, right? So I've been inspired. We're talking goblins, we're talking treasure goblins, loot. So I've designed a loot goblin for us. And this one functions in a very specific way. The loot goblin, at some point during your campaign, whenever the dungeon master decides that this makes sense, or you could set up a roll if you wanted to, and all of a sudden it happens, at some point the loot goblin kind of attaches itself to your party. But it's very, very sneaky, and it's hard to detect. So unless you have somebody who is really particularly aware and doing searching checks for something, and the dungeon master decides that, that reveals the loot goblin also, chances are the party doesn't know that it's there until it starts doing the nefarious things that the loot goblin does, which is it's a goblin, so it's very shy. It waits till the party is sleeping, so it waits for a long or a short rest, and upon a long or a short rest will find and take an item of its choosing and then disappear again, where the party won't know, even if that item has disappeared, until they go to look for it or use it. And And the way that I've set this up is it's a D6 roll if the DM would like to do it. The DM can either just choose the item, or if they want to make it a little bit more fun, the DM can roll a D6 on a 1 to 3. It's a very small sum of money. Maybe it's a certain percentage of money that the party has, and all of a sudden they go to pay for something and they're like, why don't we have as much money as we thought we did? Because the DM's like, oh, by the way, you thought you had 10 gold on you. You only have 9 gold. And they're like, wait, we had 10 gold. And you're like, no, you have 9 gold. You look in your purse and there's 9 gold there. That's the kind of the exchange that would happen. On a 4 or 5, it becomes a personal item of minor significance. So maybe somebody wears a hat and all of a sudden the hat's gone. Or maybe somebody has an extra dagger, but it's not like their main weapon and it's not enchanted or something. On a roll of a 6, is it a weapon of significance? This is like your warrior's shield or your mage's staff or something that the party just relies on, one of their best items, one of their best weapons, and that thing's all of a sudden gone. So upon realizing that something's missing, the party can do a check to see if they can detect what's going on. On a perception roll, you have to roll a 19 or 20 in order to detect the loot goblin. It's very, very sneaky. So if you don't, the party doesn't understand what happened. The item is just gone. The next time they rest, something else disappears. They then go, wait, what's going on? They do another check. They do or they don't find the loot goblin. And this continues until somebody discovers the loot goblin, at which point you roll for initiative. The loot goblin has a plus 10 to initiative, so it's like it got this huge initiative roll because it's super sneaky, and all it wants to do is run away. It will not combat the party. Once it's detected, it just tries to leave the engagement. To which the the stats of the Loot Goblin are dependent on the DM. So obviously, if this is like a level 1 adventurers, you would do something that they can kill in just a few hits, like a regular goblin.
Yeah.
If it's a level 10 adventurer, obviously you would buff this. It would be a lot more to kill. So here's what happens. The party then tries to capture, kill, get the items back. The Loot Goblin has all the items in a bag on his back like Santa Claus and tries to get away. So then, of course, combat happens. They either kill or capture the goblin or they don't. If the goblin escapes, then depending on how many times it was hit, every time it gets hit, it drops one of the items. So if it escapes and takes 3 hits, it drops 3 of the items it stole or all of the items, depending on how many items it's stolen up to that point. If it doesn't escape, then it drops all of the item plus an extra special rare item of the dungeon master's choosing. And you can use a loot table if you want. You can just choose an item that you think the loot goblin would have. And then the party gets their items back plus something better. And it just goes from there. So if the goblin keeps escaping, then the party doesn't know if it ran away with their items or if it's still chasing them. But the idea here is that the loot goblin stays with the party until you kill it. So it's just constantly trying to get as much off of you as it can. And that's how it goes.
I love that. I think it needs a D100 table for once they've run out of all the stuff that's yours. You just roll on the D100 table and it's some random item. I would love that.
Yeah, you could do that. You could have the loot goblin, depending on how annoying it is to the party, maybe you decide that it's even more of a reward once they catch it, so that it kind of makes up for it in the end, and it drops a bunch of money and some other things. You can play it as you want as the DM. But yeah, you could have a loot table and be like, every time it gets hit, it drops a random item and it just kind of scurries off. I even played with the idea that it was, I had another idea. It slipped my head. There was like a 50-50 chance of every time you're hitting it, of it dropping a bonus item or that wasn't part of the party's. So maybe you get your sword back and, a pair of boots or something that you didn't expect would fall out of the thing. You could play it that way too. So that's it. The other thing I considered doing was explaining why the Loot Goblin was so hard to find, in that it has a ring of invisibility. And upon killing it, that becomes the item that you get along with all the rest of your gear back. So there is I think major
invisibility
bonus.
is a good thing to add there. And it sort of connects to like, Golem as well, being able to turn invisible. Have you ever played a game called Golden Axe?
Oh yeah. Golden Axe had a Loot Goblin, right?
Yeah. So when you camped, the little goblins would come and steal your potions. Spot on. And
you had to whack them, and they dropped all the potions, and then they eventually would run away.
You get a few extra. They might only steal 2, but you get like 5 or 6 extra.
Yep.
The Loot Goblin. All right. That must have been where Diablo got the idea from as well, I imagine.
Probably. I bet there's a whole history of Loot Goblins back through. And as far as I know, there's not an official Loot Goblin in D&D. I did find some forums where people are talking about the idea and working something like that into their campaign. So I thought I'd throw one together and just see.
Yeah, let's put it together as a monster stat block with a couple of random generated tables on it as well. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Loot Goblin could drop anything you wanted to. It could be potions, it could be books, it could be scrolls, it could be ancient treasure maps. I mean, however you want to be creative with it, like, holy crap, we finally got our stuff back, but now we've got a treasure map, and it looks like if we travel this way, we might be able to dig up some treasure, and it sends the adventurers on another path. You never know. So,
man, so cool. So
yeah, I love the idea of the period of time where the party doesn't know what's going on, and they're just like, wait, didn't we have more gold? Where's my hat? That your hat isn't there. You can't find your hat. Your hat's gone. I even toyed with the idea that the Loot Goblin is nefarious enough to make it seem like somebody else in the party stole the thing. So to plant evidence on other party members that makes them while they're sleeping. So Frank loses his hat, but then his hat and his gloves, and then his gloves show up in Jerry's pouch. And then Frank's like, you stole my gloves. Where's my hat? And so he, the Loot Goblin is smart enough to take them off of his trail without stealing everything all at once. So he creates Descent in the Party. I don't know how that would actually work, if people would actually go for that, but
I think that works all right. I think it might, maybe once they've cottoned on to something, maybe it's someone else, and then he's like, okay, I got to do something tricksy here, to make sure they don't think it's me, really.
Yeah. Pirate Peter writes, deep lore, loot goblins have a loot matron that they bring the loot to, a treasure hoard of all the items that from escaped loot goblins. Yeah, you could have like a hobgoblin mistress who's like in charge of all these loot goblins. Yeah, with a big pile of stuff. And it's just like this room full of crap. And some of it's really nice and some of it's just garbage.
That's actually awesome. So you could do that as an adventure where the adventure starts whenever they catch on to the idea that there's a loot goblin. So they can be doing anything they want, and the adventure doesn't actually start until you can be doing all sorts of other stuff, and they're in the middle of like a major quest, and they discover that there's a loot goblin, and they're like, oh, okay, and they have to go, and then, well, they don't have to, but you would, wouldn't you? They go and discover.
Like they find a little note on him that has like his written instructions from the hobgoblin mistress that says like, do not return until you bring me 10 items, or something like that.
It'd probably be a bugbear, like a real lazy bugbear that's like, all these other people are doing it for me.
And you find him and he's just like asleep on his pile of stuff. He's just like snoring. He's just like, just like dozing.
Good idea, Peter. Very good idea.
That would be awesome. Cool stuff, guys. Well, cool. I think that does it for the rest of for this episode. Do you have anything else going on that you want to shout out? Anything?
I got some artwork done of my dog, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stat Kevin as a D&D NPC. So today I'm doing marking, and in between my marking for school, I'm going to be creating a NPC stat for my dog, Kevin.
Nice.
So
nice.
Stay tuned.
That'll awesome.
That's something I'm actually making up for another adventure that I'm working on. So you will be able to pick up Kevin, the Badger Hound, for free once it's done.
That's awesome. I should do my dogs too. My dogs are ridiculous. One of them is super scared of everything and just barks at everybody. It would be the worst D&D companion because you wouldn't be able to sneak anywhere.
Peter has just asked, will he be in Committee Quest? Yes, he will be.
Nice. Yeah, and you've got you're working on new episodes, and those will be out soon. So
in the next couple of weeks,
Very cool. Very, very cool. All right. Yeah, I'm still doing my stuff. Still got the other shows. Still streaming all of my shows on twitch.tv/robotsradio. And we'll be moving forward having what I'm going to call office hours after the shows. So if you guys have any questions about like making podcasts or doing things like that, I plan to either be streaming games or just doing kind of let's chatting moments where if you come and hang out for the show and you want to hang out afterwards, then Stuart, you're welcome to do that as well if you want to hang out later. Cool. But we'll have kind of do like a post-show answering questions about podcasting, or if in this case you show up for Dungeons and Dragons, answering questions about Dungeons and Dragons, kind of being here for the community to just kind of dialogue and have some conversation around some stuff. So I'm going to start that up next week. It's going to be something that I'm doing regularly. And other than that, that's about it. I think I've got all the normal shows for you guys to tune into. Also, look for some notifications this weekend. We'll probably be putting together a weekend show, I would assume, for Baldur's Gate 2, because we have to take next week off for Stuart. So we'll knock an episode out early. If you want to catch it live, you're welcome to do that this weekend. And stay tuned, because Discord, Twitter, those are the places to check out if you want to stay tuned on when episodes are coming out and all those kinds of things. And
exactly.
And last thing, if you can't make the live shows, but you want to watch the episodes rather than just listen to them, and you listen to the audio episodes, they all get put up on the Robots Radio YouTube channel. You can just search Robots Radio YouTube. It'll pop right up. And they come up every week, and you can see our beautiful faces talking about Dungeons and Dragons, making terrible jokes, and having a good old time. So come join us on there. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Dungeons and Dragons, making bad jokes.
Yeah, in just 2 weeks, we'll be playing some Baldur's Gate 3, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Stuart,
I'm really excited about that.
before we head out, do you have a character idea? Do you know what kind of character you're going to make for Baldur's Gate 3?
4?
We haven't even talked about this. We have to make characters.
Yeah, we do.
Baldur's Gate,
well, I don't know how much we're going to have access to in the...
Well, if you
how
can
much do we
make
get
your...
access to?
Let's see, Baldur's Gate 3 races. I'm just looking this up right now. Humans, elves, half-elves, halflings, dwarves, tieflings, drow, half-drow. Let me see if it shows more than that. Githyanki and vampire spawn. And you can be fighter, battle master or eldritch knight, wizard, evocation or abjuration, rogue, arcane trickster or thief, ranger, hunter or beastmaster, cleric, life, light or trickery, and warlock, fiend or great one. I'm not going to hold you to it, but where like what is your first gut reaction to? Ooh, I'll make that kind of character.
I mean, I like the idea. I think I'm a boring character player. So
That's fine. That's fine. Not everybody can be like the crazy one.
And so I like the idea of a Githyanki fighter because Githyanki are they've got like psionic abilities and they're like these weird aliens that
they fight for the North during the Civil War. The Yankees, they wear the blue outfits.
They were. This is an interesting connection. They were enslaved by the Illithids, like the Mind Flayers, and they broke free from that, and so their whole deal is,
being upset about being enslaved. Oh, so the character, the female character that they keep showing is a Githyanki.
Yeah, she's a Githyanki.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't really looked at it very clearly. I was like, is she like a goblin or something?
She's a Githyanki. So
she's
I like
awesome
the idea
looking.
of a fighter because they just like learn stuff. They're really old and they study stuff for a long time. So I like the idea of that, and then I like clerics, but it's life, light, and trickery, which I don't love. So they're really going for the healer type of cleric. Yeah. Whereas if you're a Tempest cleric, you have like if anybody hits you, lightning strikes them. Like they are,
That's pretty awesome.
I think I've talked about Sakir Stormborn before, but he's a cleric. Used to be a pirate. And I love that. That's one of my favorite characters. And then the other thing I really like are rogues. So perhaps,
I
don't know. Probably Githyanki Fighter though. What about you?
All right, Githyanki Fighter. Okay, so I'm thinking. I always think class first and then I do race. I think it would be cool. So I'm always tempted to either go. I'm more likely in these games to go wizard and then regret it because I'm a glass cannon. And I feel like I just get my butt handed to me early in the game until you really acquire power and ability.
Yeah.
Or I typically like in an actual game of D&D, I really enjoy playing things like bards and kind of these, the other parties that are less likely to be played who augment the party and also role play really interestingly. So in this case, that's probably more of the rogue arcane trickster would probably be more in line with that. So maybe I'd start with an arcane trickster halfling and just see where that goes.
Yeah, cool.
That would be kind of fun.
Arcane tricksters are really fun because they have all the rogue abilities, but then they also have access to magic, and you can pickpocket like cool stuff you can do with an arcane trickster.
Wow, you were just like roboted out. I don't know what's going on with the internet right now.
Thanks, Australia.
Thanks, Australia. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Arcane, rogue abilities plus magic seems cool. Seems fun. I mean, you can do a lot as a rogue with a wizard's hand, just to start out with. A mage hand. But yeah, I think I'd maybe start with one of those. It might be cool to try a warlock though. In a video game, warlocks can be really cool. The idea of, I don't know.
Well, yeah, if you're with a great old one, that's like you get your power from Cthulhu, you know.
Yeah, and
So-
we're definitely getting some old god stuff in here. I mean, you've seen the art direction on this. There's some really creepy.
Well, I
looking.
mean, that's essentially what the mind flayers are. You know, they're just Cthulhu men.
Cthulhu man. Yeah.
So that'd be cool. All right, I'm now thinking about. I think a fighter. I wonder if they'll have the lone wolf perk thing like they did in because in that you could do it with just 2 people.
I think they
and you
probably
get
will.
extra bonuses.
I would be surprised if they don't. I think they probably will.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well,
there's lots of gags about my robot engine.
yeah, the roboting voice sounds super weird. Yeah, best time for him to say some Robots Radio plugs. You've been listening to Robots Radio. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of the show. If you have any thoughts on what character designs we should go with before we get to play 2 weeks from now, let me know about that. We will try to set up some games after the shows in 2 weeks when this game comes out. Hopefully on the 6th we'll be able to download it and have it ready for after the show, that episode. Otherwise we'll have to wait a week and do it the next week. But yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun, super fun times. Maybe we should even, I don't know, have a patron tier for people to play with us. I don't know if that's gonna work out. We'll have to think about that. But maybe in the future we could set something like that up. All right, guys. Well, hang in there until next episode. And stay tuned for more info about when we'll be doing the Baldur's Gate 2 live episode. And we'll see you next time.
Ooh.
Thanks for hanging out. See you guys.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.